I want you to imagine a library. You are the librarian. Someone walks into your library and they ask you, "Hey, I'm looking for a book on art. Can you help me find that?" This is interviewing. This current job market has me on my knees and breaking out. Hey, if you're new here, hi. I moved to Sweden from Japan this past summer, and for the past 6 months I have been officially job hunting. And I've been doing that in a country where I have zero connections and zero knowledge on how to do so. Today I'm going to focus on 2 things to talk about. New things that I've tried to progress my job hunting process and rating how useful they have been so far. And of course, since I'm in the interview stages for a few companies, I thought I would finally share on my channel my foolproof interview prep method. The first thing that I thought I would try is to sign up for Arbetsförmedlingen. And if you're new to Sweden or don't know what that is, it's basically a public government agency for employment. I'm gonna rate this 0 out of 10 for me. I feel like I unfortunately wasted my time because the roles that were posted on there had no relevancy to the things that I was looking for. I think the closest ones that I saw were some HR administrative roles. But if you're someone who's working in maybe a corporate or tech industry such as me, I think it's really difficult to find the exact niche role that you may be applying for. So if that's the case for you, I would not recommend this. Let's talk about Jobsprånget. I'm gonna rate it 3 out of 10, but that's not really their fault. It's not a bad rating, and I'll explain why. This is basically an internship agency that helps place specifically foreign workers, so people who immigrate to Sweden, trying to look for a full-time job. And what they do is work with several, larger companies to offer people internships that hopefully turns into a full-time role. I was recommended this agency by a few people in my Swedish courses, as well as my husband's friend's parent who had, I think, done work with them before. I have heard firsthand from people that have gotten a full-time job through doing this internship program. I myself, unfortunately, this was not useful for me because there's also a time frame in which you have to apply. So for example, it's March now, and if I would have applied, the next available internship opportunity would be sometime in June. Even though some people had successes, I unfortunately failed, and that's not their fault. Signing up for a recruitment agency. Surprisingly, this was not useful for me at all. I would give it maybe a 2 out of 10. This was recommended to me by someone that I know that's in my field, is also in tech and in learning and development. And she said that some of the contract workers that she has worked with in her company, which is a pretty prominent Swedish tech company, had come through this recruitment agency. I did look through some of the job postings that they had, which unfortunately were not a match for me. And the biggest shock I felt from this was that when I signed up for agencies in Tokyo, people were really active and reached out to me immediately, even just to have the first conversation of the jobs that I was looking for. But here it was almost dead silent, and it was a bit sad. I was pretty disappointed. Lastly, coffee chats. One of the things that I heavily focused on in my first part of my video talking about what I've done so far is networking. Talk to anyone and everyone that could have any connection to a job that you could be doing in the future. Talk to friends, friends of friends, family friends, families, friends, family. I've been on, I want to say maybe 5 coffee chats with people I have been introduced to who work in Sweden and are not specifically looking to hire someone right now, but had an interest in my profile or the experience that I had. I had really genuine and interesting conversations with everyone, and I am so eternally grateful to have made those connections. I felt that some of them even probably would offer me a job if there was a position to hire me for, but they either didn't have the budget or just didn't have the position. There's a lot of reasons why you can't just obviously hire someone on the spot for something that doesn't exist, right? The most important thing that I took away from these conversations is that people are interested in my profile. So it gave me a little bit of the confidence boost that I really needed, because I have been very humbled in this process, thinking nobody wants me, there is no job out here for me. Another interesting insight I got was advice. If there's a phone number to a recruiter for these postings, call them. Like, just call them and tell them that you applied and to find out more about the role. This is not something I ended up doing because most of the time I could not find a phone number to reach. but I have heard this from two separate people. So I think if you're looking for a job in Sweden and have tried a lot of things such as myself, I would encourage you to give this a try and let me know how it goes. Now let's talk about interviewing. Once you get past the resume and recruiter screening, you're gonna be entering the interview phase of your recruitment process. This is the most crucial part. That's why prepping is so incredibly important. A lot of people tell me, I'm just not good at interviewing. But I'm here to tell you, you are wrong. Interviewing is a skill. It is something that can be learned. It is something that can be improved. But some people just are natural interviewers and yeah, sure, those people exist. But do you know how you can get the job? It's if you practice and then do better than those people who are not prepared, and that's how you get the job. I know it's a bit harsh, but I truly, truly believe this. So first, I want you to imagine a library. You are the librarian. Someone walks into your library and they ask you, "Hey, I'm looking for a book on art. Can you help me find that?" As a librarian, you know you have 10 books on art. So then you ask more questions on what kind of art they're looking for. They give you more information and you help find the book that you think is perfect for what they are looking for. This is interviewing. I want you to think of your brain as a library, and every experience that you have is a book. It's a story. I want you to look through your resume. I want you to think about your past experiences and start coming up with anywhere from 5 to 10 very concrete stories or examples of both positive and or negative learning experiences that you have that could cater as an answer to common interview questions. To find key interview questions, you can just start off basic. Here are some examples that I can give you just so you can start off with as this exercise. Look at resources like Glassdoor, where you can find past interview questions that people have been asked. Next, you're gonna want to start specifically writing out either hand on paper or typing this all out, all of those 5 to 10 experiences that answer the basic behavioral questions that you came up with in the STARL format. S stands for situation, T is for task, A stands for action, R stands for result. So think here, statistics, hard numbers, the more concrete, the better. L is learning. So what you've essentially just done is created books, right? Each memory, each experience is a book in your brain library. An interview will ask you a question, and then you're gonna look through your mental library, identify the question that you're being asked, find the right book, find the right story to share, take it out, and then read from it. The next step, and this is a very crucial step that is a pain in the but it is 100% always worth it. You're gonna practice them, recite them until you know these stories by heart, that you'll be able to answer and talk about these stories in the STAR format for every single one that you just wrote down. You wanna be able to share these stories at a maximum of maybe around 5 minutes, nothing over that, because the worst thing you can do a lot of the time is just keep rambling. You wanna be succinct, you wanna be precise. Usually in a 1-hour interview, if it's a pretty in-depth interview, you will be asked anywhere from 3 to 5 behavioral interview questions. And the beauty of this exercise, why I had you write out 5 to 10 experiences, you can always find a way to weave these stories that you concretely know into any interview question that is going to come. So what do I mean by that? Let me give you an example. As you can see, these are all different questions, but potentially you have one book, one story in your library that you can tell for all of these questions. A time when you were working on improving a process but also had a conflict with a colleague. How did you solve that? The important thing is to cater and emphasize which part of the story is going to be important for the question that you're being asked. If you follow this method, you will never be afraid of interview questions, because you will always have these 5 to 10 books with you in your brain library that you can pull out at any time, that you can share in precisely 5 minutes in a very clear STARL format. Do you understand what we're doing here? If you follow all these steps, this is how I've been getting job offers. The key to a really confident and strong interview is truly knowing yourself and your experiences and how that is going to match the company and what they're looking for, as well as the other parts like culture or values or missions. So in addition to the core interview prep that I just told you about, I also recommend you on the same sheet of paper to write out the following. 1 to 2 sentence short summary on what the company does, what their mission or values are. This is so that you understand what the company actually does and you don't go in blind. A 3 to 5 sentence summary on yourself to be able to answer, tell me about yourself. It could be a brief professional background that highlights maybe a skill or an experience that you've had that really matches what they're looking for in the role that you're applying to. 2 to 3 sentence summary on the position that you applied to. Why specifically did you apply to that role? What was interesting about it? Why do you think you're a good match? What excites you about it? You're going to look up the interviewer and you're going to come up with 2 to 3 interesting questions to ask them. Sometimes what I like to do is go on the company blog or follow their leaders and see if they've talked about anything new. I recommend that you individualize these questions to the interviewer. If you don't have time, that's all right. How do you ask a question to show them that you've also done your research? Do you see the opportunity here? You can of course do more research and prepare, but these are my absolute non-negotiables. So after you have written out specifically, you need your brain to process by writing out everything and you practice. This is how you're gonna show up at your best. You're gonna know yourself, you're gonna know your experiences concretely, and you're gonna be able to answer every single interview question that they're gonna throw at you because you're flexible. You have the books in your brain library. You have the stories to tell. And I highly recommend practicing. When I say your stories, I mean actually say them out loud. Look in front of the mirror, talk about it as if you're talking to another person. Then you are set. You might be thinking, holy that's a lot of work. Do you really do this every time you interview? Yes. Yes, I do. For every interview that matters, yes, I do. Do I dread it every single time? Yes, I do. But do you know why I do it? Say it with me. We do not leave opportunities that we want up to luck. Even if you don't get that role, you cannot fail. It's a transferable skill. If you do well enough, they might even ask you to interview for another role that's a better fit for you in the future. You never know. Thank you so much for following me and listening to this very long video. I'm currently in Sweden doing this in a new market, but this is probably the case everywhere right now in the world that landing a job feels like an impossible feat. But we gotta stay positive. We gotta keep trying new things until we get to where we need to be. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to give it a thumbs up or follow me for more content like this, navigating my not only job life, but also my general life in Sweden. Hej då, tack så mycket.